Hi everyone. I wanted to make this video on a very specific theme in case it offers some insight or grounding or support for anyone who's processing something along these lines. So basically what I want to talk about today is the symbolism, the meaning, the mystery, the why behind why energies or thoughts or dreams or even the presence of people from our past or circumstances or anything that represents our past and what we are letting go of, what we've moved beyond, that carries that kind of charge. And why is it showing up now? Why am I having a dream about this person, this place, this thing? Why did I run into this person? Why am I all of a sudden afraid to go back to this place that I've already left behind, or back to this person, or whatever it is, or this thing, this energy, especially relationships? Sometimes, out of the blue, you'll have someone significant from your past just pop up into your field, whether it's your mind or your dreams. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I got some insight come through about that sort of energy. And I know how difficult it can be to move on, like truly, from the past and feel like the things that didn't work or didn't fit or simply just had their expiration date come to pass in your life already, when they come back and infiltrate your present, like, it can be hard to move on from those things. And it can be confusing because it can trigger old emotions or energy patterns, or even tempt old behavioral patterns, because, it's confusing, because what happens in those instances is that those things come into conflict with our identity and the work we put into ourselves and the idea that we come to be proud of about who we are and where we're going and what we and our standards and our vision of the future. And for people who feel sensitive or susceptible to energy, especially, I think it can be difficult to discern where is all that coming from and what is going to be of service to me and what is good for me and what's not. So I wanted to make this video because what I'm about to share is something that helped me feel like I could return to my center and like I was coming back to a state of peace, despite feeling infiltrated with literal dreams of past circumstances that I have long since moved on from. So I'm going to offer a suggestion for you in case you're going through something similar. One reason that these past energies might be revisiting you, I mean, first of all, on a very basic level, it could literally be because there's some energetic attachment still lingering between your spirit and even your flesh and somebody from your past. Quantum entanglement is a real thing. Energetics are real. I know not everyone is receptive to that or believes in it, but I'm talking from experience. I'm not pulling these things out of some random place. And I'm willing to talk more about that, go into it more if anyone wants to hear me describe that more. So just leave a comment. But yeah, when these things come back up, it could be from that. And it could also be because as you grow and as you open up and shed and release different layers of your ego, your beliefs, your subconscious habits, your subconscious kind of structure, programming, etc., it creates an opening. Because growth is such a vulnerable experience. Think about like a garden and how vulnerable like young plants and fruits are to wildlife, to being eaten by deer, and how some gardeners seal their gardens in like mesh walls or cover their plants to protect them from insects or aphids, or even bring in other plants or creatures to protect the ecosystem. Growth on a human level is so much the same. So you went through what you went through in the past. You learned what you learned from that relationship, that circumstance, that behavior, that environment. And you learned something about yourself, your truth, your nature, what you need to nourish you, to support you, what you will and won't accept in relationships, the circumstances you need in an environment. You learned all of these things about yourself from the past. Now you're actively living a life that embodies the things that you were missing at this point, that you didn't yet see, that you learned in that growth phase. And while you're in the process of embodying this new level of who you are and integrating these new aspects or facets of your emerging personality, because personality is not always necessarily set, it can be molded by circumstances and it can evolve, and different aspects of us can emerge in different conditions, just like a plant. Just like, there's a recent analogy I made about the Jericho rose. I had a dream about a Jericho rose recently. It's a resurrection plant. It's a plant that holds on to its life, its expression of life, its whatever, until it has the right conditions, until it rains. And it's like once every 100 or so years, it has the capacity to bloom when the water comes. And the same can apply to our personality. If we feel a sense of longing or emptiness, or like something's missing, something's not quite there, not quite right, we don't feel our fullest, we feel this little whisper of emptiness, it's because there are aspects of our soul that require different supports to grow. And the more you listen to that voice and follow it and honor it, the more you'll see these parts, these hidden parts of your soul begin to emerge. And sometimes it feels like the world is not seeing you. The world is not receiving who you really are. And that's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of the time that you're at in your life, the place you're at, the people around you, the things you're doing. It can be a reflection of any of those things. So, as I was saying, when you're in a place in life where you're finally embodying the things that are a direct result of the growth and the changes that you've made in the past, there are gonna be gaps and vulnerable moments that arise because your nervous system remembers the past in these current circumstances. Your nervous system doesn't forget things the same way your mind just goes blank and forgets things, or you can just shift your focus and that point of focus takes up your entire reality. But it doesn't mean that the physiological and energetic imprint of the past is completely wiped out. It means that you're in an environment where the conditions that are supporting who you are and who you want to be are reflecting who you are and who you want to be. And they're also reflecting the echoes of who you used to be. I hope this is making sense. I want to come up with an analogy. It's like, this is kind of a dramatic one, but it's like PTSD or CPTSD. If you, for example, let's just say that a little golem who was just all red, stole your car or something, and you saw that little red guy run over to your car and drive your car away, and you felt helpless, you felt violated, you called the police and they didn't believe you because they're like, what are you talking about? Golems aren't real. So that was a traumatic experience that you went through. So now in the future, you didn't allow this one nasty little golem to taint your experience of life and to keep you from driving again, from getting back in a car, or from going around cars, you know what I mean? And maybe it's like when you see the color red, it's like you feel the physical memory of the trauma that this stupid little golem committed, the little crime he did and how it affected you, and the imprint and the impression it made on you. You still feel that in the face of the things that triggered you before. So that's kind of what I'm saying. You know, when we have dreams or feel infiltrated by these energies from our past that are so obviously in conflict with our understanding of who we've come to be at this point, it can be a little disarming or disorienting and maybe confusing. You know, like, I thought I'd moved past this. I thought I let this go, but here it is years later coming back to haunt me. And the same thing applies to grief and healing in general. None of it is linear. It's emotional. It's complex as heck, man. Emotions are not just one and done. It's a web. It's a network. So if you're in a position where maybe you picked off the debris, say your life is a spider web, and at one point, you know, a lot of junk and dust just got caught. So there was not really any room to catch the real goods, catch prey, you know, attract or have what you want in your web of life. So you pick the dust off, and fast forward, you know, you're starting to like catch flies. You're starting to get good things coming into your web. So when you walk down to where this new fly just landed in your web, aka you're embodying the changes in your life, but on the way, you see some dust that you missed before. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. These dreams, these energies, these psychic of the psyche. That's what I mean when I say psychic, of the psyche, of the mind. These psychic debris get kicked up and we see traces of them. It's like when you, I don't know, get your car detailed. You have the inside vacuumed, you have the surfaces wiped clean, you get in, you sit down, and all of a sudden you notice a tiny little patch of dirt or like a little grain of sand that was forgotten. It's like, it doesn't erase the fact that now you have this fresh, clean car interior. It just means that there's a little piece that was overlooked. Or, you know, it's like sometimes when we change our life so much, or when we clean, you know, to put it in a metaphorical sense, when we clean the interior of our car, sometimes there's so much gunk there at once that it takes getting rid of most of it to have that contrast of cleanliness to dirt, so that those patches of dirt or those psychic debris have contrast of the cleanliness in their environment to be seen. So I'm saying all this because these concepts are what helped reassure and ground my mind and my emotions when I was all of a sudden having dreams and feeling like out of the blue, these people and places were almost like violating my mind and my emotions. And it's a boundaries thing. I think that part of the knowledge of what I'm sharing and what I'm realizing in this, I can use to apply to those moments to set the boundary and say, I'm actually finished. I'm done. I'm not going to identify with this. I'm not going to latch on to this person, place, thing, memory, emotion. I'm going to witness it when it's coming up, because my life is clean and open enough now that when these things come up, I have the space, the discernment, the separation to be able to actually let this go. Because at one point I was enmeshed with that thing that now when echoes of that thing come up, I can separate myself, whether it's a dream or a thought or a feeling. It doesn't mean I should go back. Sure, I got amazing things maybe from the past. Yeah, it fulfilled a role. And maybe I don't have that piece in my life right now. But because I let that go, because it was attached to these other things that didn't fit me, I can be receptive to the good parts of my past plus more. That's the whole thing. That is the whole point. So I hope that this gave reassurance or clarity to anyone who needed it. And yeah, I thank you for watching. Check out the description if you feel called to work with me one-on-one and you resonate with my videos. I have some offerings down there, but I'm going to leave this here for now. So farewell for now.